another edition of the Adam Jones podcast. He's Adam. I'm Jerry Coleman. You can see us at thebaltimorebanner.com or YouTube, or listen to us on YouTube, of course, or iTunes or Spotify. Adam, of course, the former five-time All-Star. I'm just a schlub on your screen or on your audio device right now. But coming up, we're going to debate, well, why in the heck do athletes need to be mic'd up during sporting events? We have differing opinions on that. There'll be a rant from Mr. Jones regarding kids on airplanes. Our special guest today, don't bury the lead, my man. It's Trey Mancini, the newly crowned world champion from the Houston Astros. He will join us momentarily, the former Oriole. We're also going to salute our Baltimore Banner Varsity High School Athlete of the Week. And does Major League Baseball have an over-celebration problem? We'll talk about that. Of course, speaking of celebrating, we're brought to you by our friends at Jack Daniels. There are lots of ways to make whiskey. There's only one way to make Jack Daniels. Make it count. Jack Daniels. Drink responsibly. Also by Be More Around Town. They were all over New Orleans on Monday Night Football, and Jacksonville is next. And Coach Harbaugh, you need to acknowledge Be More Around Town. That's why most of those fans are at your away games. They have the ultimate all-inclusive pregame tailgate experience before home and away games. BeMoreAroundTown.com, and by G-Leaf Medical Cannabis Company at gleaf.com. Medical cannabis is for qualified Maryland patients only. A reminder, if you guys are enjoying this podcast, make sure to check out the Baltimore Banner at thebaltimorebanner.com. We have a special for the Adam Jones podcast listeners and viewers. 6 weeks, just $1. All you have to do is visit thebaltimorebanner.com/AJ. Again, thebaltimorebanner.com/AJ. All right, well, let's get to it. Let's bring in the newly crowned world champion, the Houston Astro, the former Oriole, Trey Mancini, joining us here on the Adam Jones podcast. Trey.
The 1-2. Fair ball and picked by Mancini. Off of the bench for Oriole, and Trey Mancini keeps the Astros in front.
What a moment. And Trey, I really appreciate you taking the time. Obviously, Adam was the booker for all this, so he gets all the credit. But first of all, before we get into that play, I know Adam wants to ask you about that. I got to ask you about the parade and the 50-cent champagne donation over $400,000.
Yeah, I just heard about that today, yeah.
Are you
Jerry's
hungover?
always worried about money.
I saw the champagne bottles after the game, and I was like, this is the coolest thing I've ever seen. Had no idea it was 50 Cent's champagne company until yesterday. Sarah showed me yesterday, but yeah, it tasted really good. That's some good champagne. And it was just incredible. The parade was insane yesterday. There were 2 million people there, I think. Just pure elation. It was incredible. Just an incredible turnout from everybody.
Hey, big fella. First off, the Winemans say hello. They send them
yes.
I
saw them in Baltimore.
I was back in Baltimore. They were so admired by you. They love you so much. And just go, first off, how you feeling overall before we get into it? How you feeling in your personal health?
Great. Feeling great. Obviously like still kind of on a high right now from every, thing that happened the last few days, but feeling great, feeling healthy. Thank God, over 2 years now since I finished up chemo and everything. So, feeling great in that regard.
That's a blessing,
what you did for Ryan Miner, by the way, was a great thing as well.
Yeah, he was a huge influence on me. He was my low A manager, and he was incredible. I just always have loved Ryan, and was really upset when I heard the news. And it was especially strange since it was the same disease I had. So I thought that was just a small way I could honor him.
That's amazing. Well, let's get out of that the somber. Let's talk about this World Series, man. Playoffs. I mean, you come in. Obviously, we know you haven't got a hit. But you get stuck in, and you come to first base after Gurriel gets hurt, and you got to worry about Schwarber, who I don't care. You could be in right field, and you don't want him to hit you the ball. That ball caught you. I know that. I mean, that's when the ball just like it's right there. But just take us through that whole thing, because obviously you're on the bench watching Gurriel, and it's like, come in the game right now. Like, you need it this second.
Yeah, exactly. Like you said, I mean, I was going through an all-time slump. Never, 2018, the first half of the season, I had some some pretty tough times then, but still nothing quite like September. And, it bled into October, unfortunately, too. Just couldn't get it figured out, at the plate, for which was tough. But at the same time, I knew I had to stay ready. We're in a situation that is much bigger than myself. And, in the playoffs, you're going to find your way into the game. If you're on the roster, you are going to find your way into the game somehow. So you just have to stay ready. You can't be thinking about anything else. And unfortunately, Yuli, he stayed in that pickle for a long time, and eventually just turned his knee the wrong way and couldn't go anymore. And it hit us all pretty hard. He had been huge for us in the postseason, but I knew that whole game, I was expecting more to come in a pinch hit situation. I was not expecting to use my glove very much in the playoffs, but sure enough, Yuli went down and I had to go in there. And whenever you go into a game like that, the ball is going to find you almost immediately. And
the 1-2. Fair ball and picked by Mancini.
100%, man. 100%.
Yeah. And on that play, the only thought process that goes into your head is you have to stay on the line, because anything down the line, Segura's running on first base, he's going to score. So that was the only thought that went into the play. Luckily, everything happened too fast for me to even think. I was basically trying to be like a hockey goalie and keep the ball somewhere in the vicinity where I could at least pick it up and touch the bag. Luckily, I caught it and, made the play.
And you think about it. No, people don't think about that.
It is the Adam Jones podcast. Jerry Coleman, Adam Jones. A lot of people listening, not everyone watching on YouTube. We're speaking with Trey Mancini. Adam, go ahead.
I was saying it's to that. Like, people always, they're going to give McCormick obviously praise because, fantastic play. Ninth inning.
Yeah.
That play does not happen without your play. They're up 4-2, like you said. Segura's on first. He's scoring. He's going to go through the stop sign. Doesn't matter if he's scoring or not.
He's going to do everything he can to score on that play.
So it like that play doesn't happen. So obviously, it happened so quick. But I love how the highlights went back and just highlighted everything, because it's like, look, you got to show this play, but it happened so quick, because even on TV, you tag the base before, like, the camera even panned to you. It happened so quick. So when I seen that, I'm just like, what really happened? No, that. But then they showed the replay. That ball caught him.
It definitely did. But glad it was hit to me, because like we were saying, I had been struggling, very very uncharacteristically for a while, and I just wanted to contribute and do something to help the team. That's all.
Mancini's got a new bat. Waits on this 2-2. Fastball, shot to right, base hit. Trey Mancini with his first hit of the postseason to open the third.
And you're so beloved in Baltimore, but they really have embraced you in Houston. And obviously the faith that Dusty Baker has in you, it was demonstrated throughout the World Series. He kept saying, your time is going to come, your time is going to come. Yeah. What was it like playing for him as he got his first World Series championship as a manager?
Dusty is absolutely incredible. We obviously wanted to win the World Series so badly, but especially for Dusty. He's been managing for a long time. He's a legend in the game of baseball. I think some people forget how great of a player he was, just because he's been managing for so long that his playing career isn't highlighted too much. But every day he'd be talking about some of the people he played with. He was teammates with Hank Aaron for a long time, always told stories about him, would tell stories about which pitchers he faced, liked facing, had trouble facing. It was so neat to hear. And he reminded me of Showalter a lot, just kind of in the way they are. They're definitely like more old school guys, have been around the game for a long time, and they possess so much knowledge. So it was a privilege to be able to play for Dusty.
That's awesome. Now, I want to go back a little bit about through the trade stuff. Obviously, don't dig deep into that, but I want to go with atmospheres, because the Orioles were playing terrific baseball going up to the All-Star break. They could have added, but they traded you and Lopez. Obviously, they knew that their time wasn't coming this year. But again, you get to see the promise that they have. Then you get traded to a team that their mindset is not like, oh yeah, we're getting to the playoffs, let's get to the play. No, their mindset, I'm sure the day you got in there was like, yeah, we're talking about October, like late October. ALDS, no, we're not ALDS team. It's World Series of bust in there. And how does that mindset go from look, we're trying to compete. We can compete with the Yankees. We can compete with the Blue Jays. Are we going to spend? We're not. Am I being traded personally to holy crap, I just came into a team and you're hitting seventh in that lineup. You're hitting third in Baltimore. And with the stars you got, line the stars up, and that's a complete change of scenery and better taxes too.
Yeah, much better taxes, in Texas. But yeah, I mean, it was completely different. Baltimore, kind of overnight after the 2018 season, Jonesy, after you and your core that was there for a long time, after everybody left, I kind of just got thrown in the fire a bit of leading the team and being the most tenured guy very quickly, even though I hadn't been there all that long and wasn't that old. So, I had to kind of, I'd say, grow up pretty quickly there and, take on that role. And yeah, we had some tough years. And then this year things turned around. You know what? I'm going to admit, it even surprised me. By the time the trade deadline came around, I wasn't sure if I was going to get traded or not because we were playing so well. And so many of these young guys that are in Baltimore are just so special. That team has got a very bright future ahead of it. But, so I end up getting traded and I go to Houston. And it's kind of like, once again, I'm more like a middle-aged guy on the team rather than like the oldest, most tenured guy. Like you said, I'm hitting seventh. And, I've got, guys like Verlander, Altuve, Ryan Presley, like Maldonado, guys that have been in this league for so long. And I kind of almost felt like a rookie again my first couple of days. It was really weird going from knowing everybody in the organization, being the most tenured person in the organization to I felt like, I got called up in 2016 all over again when I got traded. So it was a bizarre bizarre couple of days, but then I fit in like really quickly with them. The guys were absolutely incredible. And like you said, it's World Series or bust there basically. These guys have been through the ringer every year. This was the 6th year in a row, I think, of making the ALCS. So, you're there to win it and not just get there. And it's an infectious culture they have, and you buy into it really quickly.
True. It is the Adam Jones podcast. Adam Jones podcast, Trey Mancini, Jerry Coleman. Adam's trying to have a conversation with Trey. For those listening in, let's listen in a little more.
So, I mean, how good can the Orioles be? Obviously, you got to see it firsthand. You got to see the draft picks firsthand. Yeah. You got to be around spring training, which is the most bonding experience of ever. And you get to see. I know how high in Elias is doing. They're probably showing, all their top 20 prospects in camp. Why not, to get them experience. But, you seeing it firsthand, how good is their potential?
They're really good. I got to lead off with Rutschman. This kid's the real deal. I think everybody saw it this year, but, if you need any more convincing, I was on the team. I saw him. He seemed like a 10-year vet, honestly, the way he carries himself, the way that he prepares for every game. And obviously he'll focus on his hitting and stuff, but he spends so much time studying the other team and he spends so much time with the pitchers. It's so impressive, to be a rookie. Cause I feel like when you're younger, you can get caught up in your own offense, and yourself a little bit. And he's not, he knows exactly what needs to be focused on that day. He's as advertised, perennial all-star, the whole package. So with him leading the team in itself, they're going to be, doing pretty well. And then you have so many other guys. Gunnar Henderson, I didn't get to play with him. He debuted after I got traded. I mean, what an impressive kid. He's a beast. Stud. Huge. Nobody realized how big he is too. I mean, this kid is really good.
I got to see him at the All-Star game and at the Futures game, and I said, damn.
Yeah, he is a specimen.
Making you like that.
Impressive. Shit. And I know I'm going to forget some people in this too, but like you saw Bradish and Kramer, the turnaround that they had this year. I faced both of them twice. Like, they've got towards the top end of the rotation stuff. I did not like facing them at all. It was not a fun event. And our offense, they played us really well when we played them. And everybody on the Astros was saying, like, Baltimore probably gave us the biggest fit, in the regular season this year. They're pesky, and they've got dudes. And people like Grayson Rodriguez haven't even debuted yet.
Right.
So there's more guys coming, and it'll be interested to see what they do this offseason. But yeah, especially with what they have now, like the future is definitely bright in Baltimore. I can tell you that.
Well, besides Jones, have you heard from a bunch of your ex-teammates on congratulations, job well done, and any thoughts maybe as you enter free agency about ever returning to Baltimore and wearing that uniform again?
Yeah, a few of the guys have texted me. So after Game 5, Mountcastle texted me because at first base, he and I always, whoever was playing first base, the other guy would be DHing during the game, and we'd always look in the dugout in like a close game and a big lefty was up. We'd always like get down on the ground, basically like a hockey goalie, just wanting to like make a play in that situation. So I was actually thinking about Mountie the entire time I was out at first base in Game 5. So yeah, like he texted me after that. And yeah, I heard from some of the other guys, and Hyder texted me, a lot of the coaches. I still keep in good touch with all of them. And yeah, I mean, I'm obviously, good to go anywhere. I think that, going into this year, the situation's the same in Baltimore as far as, their personnel and fit. I just don't know if I'm like the best fit on that roster anymore, because they're going to need, especially, they got Mountie at first. They're going to need that DH spot for Adley when he's not catching, and they just have so many young guys coming up that need to play. That, I don't know if it would be the best fit. And if not, then that's okay. I'm always going to be an Oriole. I'll probably always be known as an Oriole, and just absolutely love my time there. And I loved how things ended between the organization and I. I couldn't have dreamt it being better.
Oh, well, good for you.
Yeah.
Sorry, mine was a little different. You talking about the future. Obviously, the list came out of all the free agents. Obviously, you're going to get away, decompress, get away from this, go get married, and just decompress. But the reality of it is your agent's going to be calling you no matter where you are in the world. You could be walking down the aisle and might get a text. He might get a text since he's going to be there. And
it's very possible. Yeah, he might get it mid-ceremony.
72 million right now. I know you can say I do, but say I do to this first. This. You never know what's going to happen. So, how do you expect free agency to happen? Obviously, you're not 28. You're 31, I believe. 31.
Yeah.
Healthy.
I'm going to be 31 in March. Yeah.
Right. So you're going to play in your 31 year, healthy, and so what do you have a wish list, I should say, or anything like that?
No, I mean, no wish list in particular. It's something that I haven't given a ton of thought to yet, just since we were in the playoffs and everything. I felt like there were much bigger fish to fry than, skipping ahead to free agency. But, no wish list. No, there's certainly nowhere that I wouldn't go. I'm very open to absolutely anything.
What about going back home? Being close to home. Tampa.
To where? Miami?
Tampa. I know you live in South
Florida.
Yeah.
So near Miami now, or Tampa. Yeah, I mean, I'm open to anything.
Right.
Hey, Trey, what do you recall? I got to ask you, what do you recall about your first encounter with Adam Jones? And then I'll let Adam answer afterwards. But the first time you ran into Jones, do you recall the moment or what it was like and how it went down?
I got called up for some spring training games, like when I was in the low-level minor leagues. But I remember Jonesy and so many of the other guys like introducing themselves to us and being really cool, and it meant a lot because that team, my first spring training was 2014. That team was, absurdly good. We all looked up to all those guys a ton. So whenever we got called up, they all couldn't have been nicer, and it meant a lot to us. And I feel like it made all of us, not be intimidated whenever the time would come for us to get called up. We had met the guys in spring training before, and they ran the organization to where you were ready whenever you got called up to the majors. There were no surprises, but you were expected to perform and fit in and do well. That started when we got called up, even for those spring training games.
What about you, Adam? What do you recall about the first meeting?
I mean, it's nothing specific, just because of that reasoning. And when he's working with the first baseman, he's working with CD and me. I'm in the outfield, obviously, But like just like you hit the nail on the head. It's him just a lot of the guys being around because Buck's whole thing was, and you've been down in spring training, he has obviously the list on the wall, but he always said that everybody in this room, you have a chance to impact our team in the major leagues at some point. Even, the guys in the back room, all 82 guys that sometimes we'd be having for a spring training game. He always said that everybody here has a chance to impact us in some sort of way. So the familiarity with all the guys, like when Trey got called up, it wasn't like, hey, new guy, what's up, man? No, it's more like, what's up, man? About damn time you got here. Or, with all the guys, it was like, about time you got here. Good to see you here. Come on, we in a pennant race. We need you to help. Trey entered a wild card race. That was crazy.
Yeah, that was wild time to enter the majors. But I got thrown into the fire, and then that gives you confidence whenever you know that you can perform in those situations.
100%, because Showalter ain't gonna shy away from just like, you know what? It's like here, bottom 9, man. Here's Mo.
Yeah,
my debut, bro. Like,
yeah.
He brought up a rookie. You see him bring up that rookie against the Braves.
I got called up because Steve Pierce got hurt, and you're expected to fill the void.
Yeah, big time.
Yeah.
So, I commend you on that, and commend you on, obviously, teaching the next wave of guys to do the same thing because, like I said, when you became the leader of the team, you had to pass on the same message, same baton that, if you get called up, just because you don't make the team right now doesn't mean that you won't be able to impact us at some point in the season. And you've seen that firsthand with the Orioles.
Yeah, definitely.
Trey, yeah. What about that first time you ever got that pie in the face from Adam Jones? Do you recall anything of that nature? Because
you know what, I
have to tell you. Hold on, real quickly. I do want to show you something for those watching on YouTube. You haven't seen this, but they asked us to do a promo, and it went down like this.
They got here before us. The man with the pies gets pied. Wayne Kirby got you, Adam. Wayne Kirby got me.
Chat 1,000 times, except it happened to me in the worst fashion ever. If you want to show that, Chip.
Please do, Chip. Watch the map.
That's the best one I've ever seen.
Knock me off my what.
But Jerry, to
answer
your question, I never got pied, and it was like my goal to get pied because it wasn't shaving cream; they were actual pies, as we all know, and I absolutely love pie. So I was just like praying for a free key lime pie in my face, but didn't get one. I think by that time ownership had shut down the pies, unfortunately, which Trumbo gets blamed for. He catches all the flack for, but I want to clear his name. I don't think it was Trumbo.
I don't think I smoked Steve Pierce one time and slash his nose. The other was like, hey, you can't be doing that. And I was like, damn, my bad. I didn't mean to hit him that hard. I was excited.
Hey, Trey, before we let you go, quick question, because this is going to lead into our next debate. Have you ever been mic'd up during a major league game? And how do you feel about players being mic'd up? Because we are going to talk about that shortly. And I think we have differing opinions, Adam and I. But we've seen it at the All-Star game. We've seen it at select baseball games. What about your experience with that?
Yeah, I got mic'd up. They did the games on Peacock this year on Sundays, I think. And we had one of them in Cleveland. They mic'd me up at first base. Which at first they were like right-handed hitters coming up that inning, so it wasn't that bad. I was able to talk, but I remember there was a foul ball I was going for while I was trying to talk to them, so it was like a little weird. I think it's cool though, because you see guys, in the field playing their position. You get to hear what's going through their head during the game, and that's what fans want to see. If we're trying to grow the game of baseball, I think you need to start doing things like that. Miking guys up when they're hitting and stuff, that's a different story. I think that would probably be too much, but I think it's pretty cool to hear guys in the field, what's going through their head. But I remember we were playing Cleveland. I was talking about Oscar Gonzalez's walkout song. It was like the SpongeBob SquarePants theme song. And I'm talking about SpongeBob while I'm like running, chasing for a foul ball. And I was like, okay, this is a little ridiculous, but this might be what people want to see. I don't know.
That's great. Trey, really appreciate you taking the time. It's going to be an off season of rings for you, whether it be matrimony or as a champion. So kudos and congrats to you and Sarah, and obviously of being a world champion.
Jerry, AJ, thank you guys so much.
Thanks for your time, man. Much appreciated, brother. Go relax. Get away. Go off the grid.
Yep.
All right, guys. Thanks.
Bye.
It is time for our Jerry versus Jones debate. Love the new imaging. It's brought to you by our friends at the Weinman Company. Adam will have a few things to say about Dennis Weinman and his company, but let's get into it, and let's bring in the judge himself, Reggie Fugit, and provide us with an explanation of today's topic. It sort of carries over from our last conversation with Trey Mancini, Reg.
Thank you, Jerry. Thank you. Welcome back, folks. This is the Jerry versus Jones debate. I'm your judge, Reginald Fugit, presiding. Today's topic, we will be discussing athletes being mic'd up during games. We have varying opinions. We heard it from our current player. We have a former player as well, how he feels. But we will again start this segment off. Adam won last week. It is 2-1. So this is.
Can I defer? First?
Sure. Why not?
Whoa.
He wants the last word.
That's what the coin
last word.
All right. Well, the judge is presiding, so we will let Jerry get the first word. Jerry, you're on the clock.
You, Judge.
All right.
How do you feel about athletes being mic'd up?
Well, I think the only thing more disinteresting in sports to me than a sideline reporter interviewing someone mid-game, a coach or a player, is having a player, as Trey Mancini was sort of saying, mic'd up. It's a distraction, especially, and this was groundbreaking during the All-Star game, where you had both the pitcher and the catcher mic'd up. I understand that game doesn't count, and I understand that you're trying to bring fans into the game. But to me, it's unprofessional. It takes away from the focus, the concentration, and it does carry over to the regular season. With that cornball game they have in Iowa out there in the field, they had guys mic'd up in the outfield. But to have a pitcher like Alek Manoah, when he's throwing a pitch mic'd up, and you got someone in his ear, like a Joe Buck or someone like that, it's too contrived. There's nothing substantial ever divulged. Again, just like a sideline reporter, some of this eye candy on the sidelines, not that Ken Rosenthal's eye candy, all due respect, Ken, but do we ever learn anything from these conversations? Do we ever learn anything eavesdropping from a player talking about some story during a game? I just think, again, there's no need for it, especially with gambling involved right now. If you have money on the game and your guy isn't paying attention, you heard Trey say it. What if it was a hitter who was hitting a line drive his way and he was too busy playing grab ass with the announcer? That's not right.
All right, Adam, what you got?
Shut the hell up, old man. You're still the type of person that goes to the games and has you're listening to the radio broadcast while you watch the game, aren't you?
Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that.
Old school, little skinny things.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Look it. I agree with you with one thing. Certain scenarios like the playoffs and all kind of things on field during the game, I get. Spring training, I think it's amazing. Why? Just because you can bring back, you can get these players, you can get the fans refamiliarized with the players, especially, if the Boston's on, if the Yankees are on. Maybe their fans didn't make it down to Tampa to see them. Maybe that, fans around the game can talk to the guys and get their temperament, what they did in the offseason, what they're working on, the team atmosphere. And also, during the games, what I like about during the games is you get the emotion. Now, I wouldn't immediately do it right after they hit the home run, solely because, I want them to maintain the team atmosphere and be around the team and all that kind of stuff. But say after the inning or how they do the managers or something like that after the inning, that's perfect. You're trying to grow the game. What you're trying to do is you're trying to get these fans to understand that these are not just robots who just show up at 6 o'clock and play the game and then go home. No, they've been there at 2 o'clock. Games at 7, they've been there at 2. Okay? And it's growing the game. It's showing the personalities. That's what sports is about. It's about personalities. You have social media, personalities. You just can't just tweet that, I'm just this and that. They want to hear it. They want to hear your personality. Hearing Schwarber saying, they got no hit. I don't give a rat's bleep. That's what you want to hear as a fan. You want to hear that kind of stuff. You want to hear the emotion, the raw emotion.
It's
rather
garbage.
Than bleep
the
answers.
whole thing is garbage. The low information.
All right. Let's reel it in here.
You listen to Joe Angel.
The low information fan may embrace it, but not me.
You listen to Joe Angel. You still out there and Fred. You still got the headphones.
They don't announce the games anymore, but I like the play-by-play. Yeah, I like.
What's
I
the
like
guy's name?
Tell it like it
what's
is.
The guy's name in Chicago? Bartman. That's you. That's you at a game. You're Bartman.
What's the most memorable
Bartman.
thing you ever heard a player say during a game or to a sideline reporter besides Peyton Manning saying, "We're standing here while our, blanked up kickers all liquored up"? I mean, that's the most famous interview ever.
Joe Namath. No, I'm just playing. All
right, guys. All right, we're gonna take a pause here. Pause for.
I don't want to kiss you.
We're gonna take a pause for our sponsor before we get into the rebuttal. We are brought to you by the Wyman Company. Adam, you got anything for me with the Wyman Company?
Hey, man, the Wyman's always been good to me. Hey, I want to thank Mandy. Dennis, you're cool. Mandy, those cookies. Oh, me, Dylan, and Benji, we were snaking them.
All right, here we go. Jumping into the rebuttal.
Does she make them for Ken? Probably not.
No,
Jerry,
definitely not for Ken.
Jerry, you got the lead off on the rebuttal. Go for it.
Listen, my rebuttal is this. If you're going to keep it to spring training and exhibitions, I'm fine with that. Anytime during regular season play, you don't see other leagues have to stoop down to that level. Can you imagine NBA players or NFL players being mic'd up during the game? I know they are at times, but it's edited, not while they're playing the actual game. Are they talking to an announcer? Only baseball has to do that. And can you smell that? It's a smell of desperation for Major League Baseball.
All right, Adam, desperation.
Well, you got to grow the game. It's not desperation. You grow the game the way you grow the game. Now, obviously, you can't have a microphone like the NFL has a microphone. You heard Jacoby Brissett the other day screaming at the lineman. You can hear it clear as day. You heard Omaha. Peyton Manning got a damn contract because he kept saying Omaha. Now they sent him a whole bunch of damn okay steaks, not bad steaks. I mean, if Omaha, you want to send us a bunch, send us. But it's growing the game. It's about growing the game any way you can. And you got to show the personality. In the NBA and the NFL don't have these kind of problems with images. So if we're able to, as a group, Major League Baseball, show these players likeliness, show their personalities, that's how you got to do it. Again, postseason, I think regular season is fine, especially the All-Star game, home run derbies. Those are the best. You're crying because Manoah was mic'd up or something. That's probably because you had $1 or $2 on the game.
I did. I had money on him.
It's okay for things like that to happen because it grows the game. It's beautiful for the game.
Well, you didn't hit the over in strikeouts because he's too busy chatting with an announcer.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Okay. It's getting his mindset, man.
Thank you, guys.
You complain about anything.
The judge has a verdict. You guys have
AM or FM on your headphones. You AM or FM?
FM. I'm all stereo all the time.
The judge has a verdict. We had good points on both ends. The judge is going to stick with the athlete on this. I think it's great to have a spotlight on the athlete. The better comment was very good. Almost got you the win on this, Jerry, but the judge has a verdict that athletes should still be mic'd up during games.
I'll just
some games. I think there's a fine line, but I think that is great. It's like if I was in center field mic'd up, I was talking to myself anyway. Like outfielders, I don't think outfielders.
Did you ever say anything intriguing? Anything memorable?
I was mic'd up. I think I was mic'd up once or twice, and maybe no, really. I'd just be out there thinking about food and what I'm eating.
You're telling us about where you're going to dinner after the game. Who gives a rat's
You don't think that's intriguing? You don't think that people want to know where a guy like myself, who's a foodie, you don't think people want to know where Bryce Harper? People like I ran.
What was I saying about the
low
information fan? Yeah, they want to know that.
They want to know everything. They want to know what you're doing and give them a glimpse into your personality. Like I love donuts. I love delicatessens. People have brought me pies, donuts, all kind of things. Just because you said that on social media.
All right, folks. That was
you need to try Lenny's Deli.
All right, folks. That was the Jerry versus Jones debate. Until next week. Thanks for listening.
Thank you.
Thank you, Judge Reggie. Appreciate that. All right. The little Jones is coming in to support Dad. Now he's got a whole crew behind him. All right.
I need all I can get.
Time for our For the Birds segment. And we're talking all about the Ravens because they are into their bye week after a big win in the Big Easy against the Saints. They are going to have some time off. They have reached their bye week, as I said, but the injuries are starting to mount up. And it was an impressive win in New Orleans, but I am concerned no Rashad Bateman for a while, if at all this year. We'll have to see. Right. Gus Edwards is hurt again. J.K. Dobbins injured his knee. Mark Andrews just missed his first game. The Ravens wide receiver dilemma sort of continues, Adam. And here Lamar Jackson is in a contract year, and they bring in Deshaun Jackson. I don't know if that's the answer. Who knows what's going to happen with Odell Beckham Jr. I just don't think he would be a fit in Baltimore. Do you really think he would be a fit in Baltimore? Because he demands the football, and they are not a throwing team. They are a run-first team.
Yeah, I mean, you say they run first, but they can throw the ball. I mean, Lamar Jackson, just like Harbaugh said, he's so dynamic. Like, he can create things that just aren't there. And, I want to say this to you, especially to you, Jerry. Did they finish the game this time?
They did.
Did they finish the game?
They finished the game.
They finished. They scored 10. Because they even mentioned it. The Ravens have, given up these big leads, but they finished the game. And, like you said, with the wide receivers, it's unfortunate. Guys are hurt. Likely is making a big, big name for himself right now, which is great to see. But the timing of the bye week and having played one game in 23 days, I think that is on their side. But again, so it just depends on the injuries. If you got bad, certain injuries, you can't. 10 days ain't going to do nothing. It's going to, necessarily take, a month or something like that. But it's all about health. And as you see that, the healthier you are, the better. But at the same time, it's next man up. The Ravens know that. Just like Torrey said a couple weeks ago, it's that Ravens mentality of like, look, we're going to grind this game. We're going to grind through it. And that's what they're doing. Lamar, he had a good game yesterday. He was efficient. Like, if you're looking for the 300 pass yards every weekend or something like that, no, he's efficient. He didn't turn the ball over. And, they finished the game. The defense, they were on Dalton's ass like white on rice. So, and I hope they had beignets on the flight home because, you're down to Big East. You got to get yourself some po' boys and some beignets. So, they played a good game. They played a complete game. And hopefully, they just get just time to heal up because it's going to be getting in ice baths.
Well, 10 years after they won the Super Bowl in that building, and you, of course, were there. But now they're 6-3. They have the bye week. They have some time to heal. They also have the easiest remaining schedule in the National Football League. And I know you're smiling when you look at that because every team's hard to play, but they only play one team, Cincy, with a winning record, and that's the final week of the season.
That's not their fault. You play the schedule. That's not their fault. It's not their fault. It's always been like that. You got to play the schedule. They always say that, Clemson has a bad schedule because they play in the ACC. That's not their fault. The ACC is not as good as the SEC. Then realign. See, you realigning, you're switching money. Obviously you think that the bad schools in the ACC want more money since Clemson's always in the national title game or something big. Of course they want their money. But, it's just going to boil down to, again, like you said, it's going to be health. It's going to be determination. And I think that them guys have just they have a way of figuring it out. And you have to beat the teams that are in front of you. It doesn't matter if they're 0-12 because, again, they can beat you and they'll be that 1-12 and you always have that little blip on you. So what you have to do is handle the team in front of you and control what you control. We were looking at the schedule a while ago and we were saying if they're not 8-3 going into Denver, then like something's wrong because the next two games are winnable games for them. Again, they're going back down to Florida, a tough place. That's it's always tough going down to Florida with that warm weather. You just want to relax and lose focus maybe a little bit, but they have a good chance to, like we talked about in predictions, a good chance to be 12-5, 11-6. So, continue to watch them and continue to root for them.
Yeah, I could tell Coach Harbaugh, hey, Coach, you're going to be favored in every game the rest of the season. His response would be something to the effect of, I don't care, play harder.
Of course, because he understands that, some team's going to come in there and kick you right in your mouth. Again, they're talking about like the Jets. The Jets have 6 wins this year?
Close, I think
5.
so. Yeah.
6.
Did win last weekend, that's for
huge
sure.
Win. And they called it, the thing is they called it an upset of 5-3 going to 6-1, but it is an upset because the Bills are, they have the MVP front runner. They have, one of the top 3 defenses in the league, and the Jets are always, an up-and-coming team. We all know how the Jets, they're up-and-coming. We all know the Jets' misery and problems throughout decades.
Our entire lifetime.
Yeah, pretty much. Since Joe Namath. But
you bring it back to Joe. All right. We better get away from Joe Willie Namath right now in his mink coat. In fact, this is a perfect time for you to be even lighter or maybe more serious as a guy who's a world traveler. It's time for the Heckle D's rant, Adam's rant. It's brought to you by our friends at Jack Daniels. We'll tell you more about JD in a moment, but what do you got to talk about this week, World Traveler?
Well, my rant is about kids and travel. As I got older, someone said that, when you travel with kids, it's not vacation, it's a trip. Very true. But my kids are great travelers. And I learned, obviously, when I first me and my wife, before we start traveling, we were like, oh, these kids making this too much noise on the plane or this and that. And then you just be like, once you have kids, you're like, okay, look it. All the noise ain't the worst in the world. There's kids on the plane and doing all that. Why don't just parents just have a damn drink? The kid can't go nowhere. The kid can't go nowhere on the plane. He can't go nowhere. You don't want to give him an iPad? Give him an iPad, give him a sucker. Parents, stop being stupid. And I seen this the other day, and I'm falling for it too. You can't shush a kid, especially a little kid. Shh. They're going to talk lower. They're going to still talk. You can't do it. So the best thing, especially with these parents now, is when you're traveling, travel with some suckers. Don't be afraid to order a couple Jacks or gin, whatever, Beefeater, whatever the hell you drink. I don't know. But preferably, get yourself some Jack.
Yes.
And enjoy that damn flight. Okay? Don't let that kid ruin your flight. Okay? Don't let him ruin your flight. Don't let him. You sit there and give him his iPad, give him some juice. And when you're on a plane, parents, let's say yes. The more you say no in a closed environment, the worse these kids are. We just say yes. And it makes it so much easier. Okay.
That is the Adam Jones. That is the Adam Jones specialty rant, brought to you by our friends at Jack Daniels. Jack Daniels has always made whiskey, and if they have it their way, they always will. There's one thing Jack can't make more of: moments. Those are on us to create, folks. So let's make sure we're making the most of every moment we have. Make it count with Jack Daniels. Again, you're listening and watching the Adam Jones podcast, brought to you by the Baltimore Banner. I'm Jerry Coleman. He's Adam Jones. Again, BaltimoreBanner.com has a special out right now. Baltimore Banner, thebaltimorebanner.com/AJ is where you can get 6 weeks digital free access of the paper right there online. And as far as this podcast, wherever you get your podcast. All right, let's go beyond Baltimore quickly and talk about these over celebrations in Major League Baseball. And this has been a point of contention for me because, you win your division, you win a wild card, you party. You win your division, you party. You win the pennant, you party. You win the World Series, you celebrate. MLB has jumped the shark. It's overkill. And all because they have a beer sponsor involved, it seems. Because you don't see it in the NBA. You don't see it in the NHL. I don't see any alcohol in the Super Bowl winning locker room. Most sports don't celebrate till you win the championship, not clinching a wild card.
See that's now I'm thinking about it. I'm trying to think of other sports. They don't really celebrate the same way. But no. Baseball is like an everyday job. Sport. It's every day, but it's a job. It's like a plumber, where you've been around baseball guys where they play a game, they go have themselves dinner and a beer at 10:30. We eat at 10:30, 11 o'clock. They decompress. Football players, it's once a week. Saturday night, I ain't doing nothing. Once a week. Basketball, their schedule is so crazy with travel. It's the worst I've ever seen. Hockey is very similar to that too. But with baseball, it's like the everyday job. It's like literally every day is a game. And I don't know. I just think we feel that like, man, you better celebrate this. You said like I said, Verlander, 39 years old, got a beer shower for the first time. First time in.
Was he wearing those protective goggles? I mean, how soft are these guys?
Maybe.
I've had champagne in my eyes.
The worst. Champagne is the worst on your skin, your eye. It feels so bad for the next couple of days. It's so cold. And I got to celebrate last year in Japan.
Boo-hoo.
And it was awesome. It was awesome. Anytime you can do it, because you know how hard it is to get to that moment. Anytime you can celebrate. No team ever gets mad. Only time the team get mad was when the Dodgers went and jumped in the pool in Arizona. I think that's a little bit disrespectful, but hilarious at the same time.
That was obnoxious.
But you got to share it. You got to enjoy the moment. And I love it when when they go out and share with the fans. As you see me do it in 14 with the pies, and you see numerous times and occasions throughout history of the players going out and sharing with the fans. I got to see it in San Diego a couple days ago, or a couple weeks ago. So, you got to celebrate it, man. These are once in a lifetime achievements. You know how hard you got there. You got to celebrate. I know you don't.
Five in a time.
I know you don't like it. I know you don't like it. I know, because you're the type of guy that goes to your apartment. Your apartment.
Yeah, whatever. I don't need to see it 4 or 5 times in a postseason. When you win the championship like Mancini, then it's time. All right.
No, you celebrate the whole way, man. You celebrate winning your division, 162 games. Man, people on your heels, you celebrate that, brother.
You win a 1-game series or 3-game series, and really you're going to crack
not as hard. Not as hard. Like the Astros when they won, you seen how, and when they won in Seattle, it was like, okay,
you've been there before, man.
I'm saying the Astros did. They were. But if when the Guardians won, they went nuts because they ain't supposed to be there.
Well, then win something bigger. Win a world championship.
They're supposed to be there. No, it don't work like that, man. You're professional when you've been there back to back, like Tom and Mancini. But the Astros, they celebrated insane. They celebrated good in New York. They celebrated insane because winning the ship is different. But they've been there before. But if Seattle won, Seattle would be a party in Seattle. It'd feel like their World Series, like how San Diego beat the Dodgers. It was their World Series.
All right, put the jack down. We got to keep moving along here. And let's take it down a level and show some respect to the Baltimore Banners Varsity Sports Network Athlete of the Week. This week, it's Archbishop Spalding football player Hakeem Sims. The running back rushed for 191 yards, 2 scores as the second-ranked Cavaliers came from behind to defeat Mount St. Joseph 35-21. They secure the top seed for the MIAA Conference football playoffs, which get underway this week. Sims scored on a 10-yard run in the second to tie the game. Also had a 7-yard run in the fourth to push his team in front. Spalding is 9-1, 6-0 in the MIAA. They will host McDonough in an MIAA Conference semifinal playoff game that's coming up Friday night. Nothing like playoff high school football. Congrats to Hakeem. Well done, Hakeem Sims.
Hakeem, oh, man, that's unbelievable. And my wife's best friend, Dominique Drummond, she used to be the AD over there at Spalding, and went to McDonough. So it's going to be a mixed emotions for her and her household this week. But that's impressive. I mean, almost 200 yards. That's just impressive. So continue to do what you're doing and bust them next week.
All right, finally, let's do some socially speaking, shall we?
Hey, I just met you, and this is crazy.
And this is where we answer a tweet or a social media post. You can find us on Twitter, Facebook, or Instagram at Adam Jones Pod. At Adam Jones Pod. You should be following us because we're going to have some giveaways coming up along that platform, whether it be Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter. You should be following us at Adam Jones Pod. Last week, we talked about, when is the right time to approach an athlete in public and when isn't. We got a great response from at Saucier Willie. Quote, I personally seen Adam in public multiple times, and on both occasions, he was with his kids. I just walk right by him. Like Adam said, they're normal people too. You do put your pants on one leg at a time, right?
I've tried to jump in them, but I fail. You know what I mean? No, we're normal. But again, as I said, it's always, if you can, you keep it moving, say, I've got plenty of times, Adam, appreciate what you do, man, appreciate. But sometimes there's always those people that want that 15 seconds, 15 minutes, and it's like, let me tell you the story. And it's sometimes it's like, man, I ain't got time for no damn story. Okay, I ain't trying to listen to this story. But no, most people, like I said, are very respectful. There's always just going to be the knuckleheads that ruin it for everybody else. That's in any facet of life. But when people just keep it moving, like, hey, I appreciate it. I love how you played. Thanks what you did for the city. All this kind of things. It's always love. It's always respected. And it's always appreciated. It's just that at the end of the day, sometimes if I'm with my family, we're eating dinner or we're doing certain things, I think it's just respectful to watch and see what we're doing. It's like they always say, read the room. If my kids are playing and I'm just sitting right there, just watching them play, perfect time to come up to me and approach me. Hey, what's up, man? How you doing? But if we're doing something and like say we're at a pottery class, I don't know, but I'm saying if we're doing something, we're occupied, like just let us be normal. That's what we're going. That's what we always aim for. Like we go shopping. I shop. I like to shop. I like to be normal. I don't want. Obviously Uber and Google and Amazon, all them, they got the little shopping apps, but I like to go shop. I like to touch the fruit and vegetables. So just let me be normal sometimes.
Let them squeeze the tomatoes in peace, people, will you?
Avocados. You got to see the feel of the avocados.
I'm more interested in Jack Daniels. We want to thank our sponsors. I'm ready for some Jack with you. There are a lot of ways to make whiskey. There's only one way to make Jack Daniels. Make it count. Jack Daniels, please drink responsibly. Also, thanks to our friends at Be More Around Town, Brian and company. They have the ultimate all-inclusive pregame purple tailgate experience before every home game and away game. Head to BeMoreAroundTown.com. And by G-Leaf Medical Cannabis Company. Visit gleaf.com. Learn how you can become a Maryland medical cannabis patient today. That's gleaf.com. Medical cannabis is for qualified Maryland patients only. And a reminder, folks, once again, if you're enjoying this podcast, make sure to check out the Baltimore Banner. They're covering the Ravens, Terps, Orioles, and everything newsworthy across the Baltimore region. As a special thanks to our listeners, you get 6 weeks unlimited digital access for just $1. Visit thebaltimorebanner.com/AJ to get started. Again, thebaltimorebanner.com/AJ, 6 weeks for $1. Thanks to senior executive producer Chip Franklin. Excellent job as usual. Go out and subscribe to the Baltimore Banner and this podcast. But you're watching already, so tell a friend. And after seeing you in Baltimore all last week, it's good to have you a world away. Get lost.
Oh, who you telling?